recordings for 26 minutes at a time. So
Yeah, so you gotta
take a
pause.
break. Yeah.
Sure. It's good for a bathroom break.
Yes. Bella, I love you.
You put it wherever you want, I don't care.
Yeah. Just wanted to block that.
You're eventually gonna have someone on that like hates cats.
Yeah. We'll have to do it at their place. All right, cool. Take my last sip. Also, my dad was sipping like this.
Like.
Come on, dude.
But he's not an on-screen guy.
I know.
He's not thinking about it.
I know. All right, set this timer.
That candle is wild.
Which one?
The squiggly one.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
We got it online.
You said you put that online? What did you say?
We bought it online.
Bought it online. Got it.
Yeah.
I feel like you gotta put a plate underneath it though. Like
When we light it, yeah. I don't think we're ever gonna light it. I think it's for
just
show.
for show. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a show candle.
I keep contemplating buying this Marie Antoinette bust candle. It's $130.
Okay.
But especially when I'm hypomanic, I love to shop.
Yeah,
So
same.
but I'm not hypomanic as far as I can tell.
Okay.
And I still want it. So
Okay,
I think,
that's how you know
it
it's
means
real.
I deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get into. That's a funny thing to talk about like weird buys,
Yeah.
shopping.
I think I was hypomanic at the time, but I was listening to, I think, your second episode.
Uh-huh.
I feel like such a fucking fangirl. It sounds so cheesy, but I've never listened to any podcast in a row, like all of them. It's also very, like, self-involved, right? Because I'm like, this is about me.
Yeah, we love it though. We love it. We need the listeners.
Yeah,
so
man, for
we
sure.
appreciate it.
Who's we?
Me, my sister's helping out a little bit.
Which one?
Sarah, the one that was on first. Yeah,
Sure.
This is her camera, and
Thanks, Sarah.
thank you, Sarah. Yeah. Welcome to the episodes with Matt Pavich. I'm Matt Pavich. Today I'm joined by Maria Heinegg, who is also bipolar.
Woo! What a party.
What a bipolar party.
What a blessing.
Are you bipolar 1 or bipolar 2?
So what's interesting about that is when I first got diagnosed, which was only like a year and a half ago.
Which is interesting, and we'll get into that.
Yeah. She thought I was more on a 2 in the spectrum. And then I had a real shit fall 2020. I was in more or less a mixed mood for like 2.5 months. Mm-hmm. And then I was manic, and then we were in a session, my therapist, and she was like, "Do you remember how I said I thought you were bipolar 2?" And she's like, "Yeah, so maybe not.
We're
Maybe
gonna
not.
give you the one,
I think we're gonna hit you with that one."
the stamp. They give you a tattoo or like a ribbon.
Yeah, but then also now it's a lot more seen on the spectrum. Like the last, DSM said that there's like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But now they're saying it's like this
No, for sure.
spectrum.
Yeah,
and,
of
and
course,
even
just
the
like
people that
anything.
put that out are saying that. They're
Yeah.
like, it's not
Yeah.
static like that.
So you got diagnosed late.
You think?
Yeah.
I think that's because I haven't had a ton of identifiable manic episodes.
Okay.
Because it's like when you're like, I already knew I was depressed. I'd figured that out like, 2 therapists ago.
Sure.
But the new therapist that I'm seeing, Lynn Spevak, who specializes in bipolar,
Very cool.
plug.
Plug.
Not cheap, obviously. Although my insurance is good, so it only shakes out to like, I think $54.
That's amazing.
Once I hit my deductible, which is only like $750. I'm an HR lady, so I know
She knows her
too much about insurance. But I switched to her in February 2020, so like a month before, pandemic party.
Right.
And I love the people listening that have been like impacted by COVID, and they're like, really? Pandemic party?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I'm listening on a Galaxy because I had to trade in my iPhone. You fucking piece of garbage.
But she told me 6 weeks into treating me, she's like, So, and Lynn slow plays everything, which you can imagine when you're hypomanic or manic is
not good.
Infuriating because you're just like, land the plane. Like, for people talking at a regular speed, you're like, can you fucking, I already know what you're going to say. So if you could just
speed it up.
Say, like, do you want me to finish the sentence? Because that would probably make this easier for everyone.
Yeah, it's my turn to talk. Yeah. Always.
Which I wouldn't say is not also me regular, so it's not specifically a bipolar issue. But 6 weeks in, and she started to be like, so, you've heard of bipolar, right? And for the first half of the explanation, it didn't occur to me that she was about to be like, and you're bipolar. And then I started to see that she was going to say that, and I was like, oh. Like, I wasn't upset. Like, I wasn't... Like, I was definitely surprised, but I was like, oh, okay. And then I just started to have this, like, wash of realizations where I was like, oh, this
did way more
explains
things
a lot.
Make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you realized that this was manic, that was manic.
Yes.
Or, okay, yeah. I also did that. Because I got diagnosed very young.
How old were you?
20.
Yeah, I would have really appreciated that.
Yeah, but I didn't listen for a very long time, so...
You're fucking 20. Who wants to hear that? That's like
something
just...
wrong? There's nothing wrong.
Putting a kibosh on the party.
On,
then
Bella.
You have to, like, take accountability for yourself in ways that regular people don't. And shit sucks.
Exactly. But even going back earlier... to like my high school and earlier college years, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Yeah. This really checks out.
Yeah.
And
it's almost as if it was an accurate diagnosis.
Yeah, it's almost like these people might know what they're doing. Yeah.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. God bless.
I've been going to therapy since I was, 27, and they didn't catch it until last year. So that's 7 years of not noticing.
So you just thought you were regular old depressed?
I didn't even realize at the beginning that I was depressed. I just knew, to be clear, the first time I went into therapy, I went in because I was having anxiety attacks about, Bella, you're having too much fun.
Come on, get off.
I was having anxiety attacks about, my brother died 11 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. It is your fault. So
Thank you.
But I have a sister-in-law who's they're gonna be like, what? They're gonna have so many questions.
Yeah, in the comments.
And I go way back.
Yeah.
And I have a sister-in-law, his widow, and she's not a nice person, and she made it really difficult, like when he was dying, to see him, and blamed it on him, which is also like trashy. Like, he's on all these meds, and you're like, he chose this, and
That's
it's like he
terrible.
hardly knows he's awake.
Yeah.
So anyway, but she wouldn't really let me see my nieces because I had kind of told her, I told her off before I moved to New York because I was like, I'm not going to get to see him anyway, so she should get a piece of my fucking mind, which I like to do anyway. But with her, I was always very careful because she would penalize you. And be
so
like,
there was
I guess
years
you won't
of
see.
unloading.
10 years and then being like, guess what, bitch?
Yeah, it's going down.
Felt pretty good.
Yeah.
But I would have these panic attacks every time I would think about her. And so I was like, I gotta go to therapy.
Yeah.
And I got in there, and this is what's so hilarious now in the background of being bipolar is I was like, I think I'm gonna get in there and they're gonna be like, you're great. Like, everything's fine.
Whoops.
I thought I was gonna go win therapy, They're gonna be like, you can leave. You're actually
hilarious.
so chill.
I've had that thought too, where I'm like, I'm doing so well that I think they're gonna tell me I don't need to do this anymore. And it's always the complete opposite. Like, I have a breakthrough in that session, and I'm like, my whole childhood makes sense.
Yeah, and you're like, we peeled back all these layers, and now that we've done that, I can see the other layers we haven't pulled back yet, and I hate that.
Yeah, and I will not address them. And I will push it all down.
I handle it a little differently. Like, I'm very enthusiastically like, let's get into all my broken shit. Because I think there's a part of me, which I definitely inherit from my father, of being like when you do stand-up, it's like I can call out my problems and like my downsides before you can get to them, and then that way you can't embarrass me by perceiving me in a way that I don't already know about myself.
Like 8 Mile, B-Rabbit.
Sure. I don't remember.
When he says all this, he's like, you say I'm going to be white trash, and he just basically says all the things that's
going to come.
Never saw 8 Mile?
Yeah. I saw 8 Mile, but
pretty
it was...
classic scene.
Yeah.
And I'm not a movie buff, so that was a good reference.
Okay. Yeah? You think that was a hot one?
It was a really good reference.
I'm sure that isn't connected at all to you, like, your rap career when manic.
It is definitely corrected.
This white rapper gives all white men hope.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh my God. You know what I was gonna say though? Sorry, this is unrelated, but
Go ahead.
one of the things I thought about, you were like, "No, I don't." Whatever you're gonna say, just
Yeah, cut it. We have to stay on topic. It's a podcast.
I mean, it's still on topic. Don't worry.
We have a list.
Yeah, I love that you have a list though. I'm big
Do you see how there's nothing on the list?
Well, no, you wrote one thing down. I do love a list though. Like that's like brain orgasm when you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do all this stuff, and then you look at it like 2 weeks later and you're like,
Still haven't done it. 2 weeks?
Sure.
I still have the exact same checklist from years ago, and it's read more, write more, and every year I write the same thing on the checklist.
Well, I mean, same, but it's just like, or you add like little things. You're like, I gotta buy this or whatever, and you always get
Pick up
that
Bella
shit
food.
done,
Yeah,
but then you don't fucking
read.
Sure, yeah. Read is always on my list. Meditate, write more. I'm always disappointed with how much I write. Like,
Yeah.
I could go weeks.
Same.
Yeah. But, which my therapist loves to tell me is related to bipolar. And I'm like, or I'm a bag of trash. I think it could really be both of those
Could
things.
be a discipline issue.
Yeah, could be a regiment challenge.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is I realized, I mean, I don't know, obviously, what podcasts you've already recorded since to release before the first 5, but or after the first 5, but I realized this is your first podcast with another bipolar person, right?
No,
like,
Sean O'Shawn has.
Oh, Sean,
bipolar.
does he have it? Well, I was not listening closely.
Yeah.
I felt like it was about, they're talking about your stuff as opposed to.
No, he's a bipolar fellow.
So I'm an idiot, so skip that.
No, it's okay.
That makes sense because he talks about in battle rap, like when he's like struggling with it.
Yeah.
So I just skipped over it, I guess.
It's
Not the
okay.
episode, but I was like busy thinking about myself.
Yeah. How am I going to get on? No, but we haven't had a bipolar lady, and I'm sure the struggle is very different.
Also my context of only being a year and a half into diagnosis is obviously different, but I definitely think about that, like when I get like emotional, you know what I mean? That I think it's often perceived as like, well, she's a woman, so she's obviously going to be emotional.
Sure.
You know? And I think the other struggle is I've been hypomanic way more than I've been manic, far as I can like try to trace back.
Sure.
And that's just like a more hyper energized, but then also irritated, with other people's behavior that you're like, you're getting in the way of my, genius thoughts and, excitement.
It's more palatable for sure, and more people would not recognize you as a full-blown manic person, which is...
Right, yeah, which I think there's ups and downs to that, right? But when you're like that, if you don't know, which I didn't until 18 months ago, you're like, why am I pissed right now? You know what I mean? Like, why am I letting this like stupid work shit get to me or whatever? And then you realize that, like, I always think about a particular coworker, but whatever, but I'm like, he must just think I'm like such a bitch, you know what I mean? And not that he wouldn't be pissing me off if I was stabilized.
Sure.
But you are so much more controlled in what you're like, I'm gonna fucking slack you exactly what I think right now. Like, there's like
Send
downsides.
some emails, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Shoot out some emails. I really think there's some downsides to globalization for us that we can just shoot off a thought. Like, you look at Kanye West's Twitter and you're just like, do you like that I went with his last name? Like, they don't know that I'm like referring to some other Kanye.
Kanye Jones.
But yeah,
Yeah, I that is a true statement that the modernization of like the internet just fucked us so hard.
Yeah.
Because we can say anything so fast, and it's just to the whole world. And they didn't have that. They were like writing in notebooks, and then we'd find it years later and be like, oh, he was probably mentally ill. Mm-hmm. But for us, it's just like out there.
Well, it's also a two-sided coin, right? Because it's like that shit sucks, but there's also now like endless resources that you can read about. You know what I mean? Like, not only therapy, but just like awareness that like other people are having these symptoms, and you're like, oh, I'm not just like fucking strange. You know what I mean? You're like, oh.
Are you on TikTok, the mental health TikTok game yet?
I am not, but that's such a good note that I have not heard yet.
It's a world that my girlfriend is heavily involved in. And
is she a mover and shaker of the mental illness TikTok?
no, she's just like my in, because I'm too embarrassed to like be on TikTok.
Post.
Not to post.
I mean, it does
but
feel
just,
like a very Gen Z
Yeah.
type thing.
Yeah.
You know?
But she like has so basically your algorithm like figures you out, and then
Right.
your feed is more like your style. Like hers is all musical theater stuff, and she like also mental health stuff. So like all this, like she has like panic attacks and stuff. So these kids are just all posting about their struggles, and like it makes her feel so much less alone, and like all
Yeah.
these kids have like this beautiful community, and like
15-year-olds are like so much fucking more aware of
Yeah.
and mentally healthy than we are.
I don't know if it's
like,
healthy.
I think, but well, no, I'm not saying there's not downsides. They're so fucked up from social media too, in a way we just didn't have when we
Yeah.
were kids. But their awareness of like explaining like, you know, gender fluidity and not feeling judgmental of people.
Their
in the same
understanding
way.
is-
yeah, their compassion.
Their
you know?
compassion. That's the right word.
Yeah.
Yes, they are so, and that's also going to be a double-edged weird sword too, right? Because like, I don't know. Sometimes people just do shitty things, and then
Yeah, we always like it feels very like explainy away.
Yes.
Like we were having a DEI session with our like, you know, diversity consultant at our company, and the example that was, you know, presented by someone was like, I told someone they were very tall and they got offended, and I was just like, oh,
Here we
fucking
go.
come on. Like there's so many good examples, and that's just fucking stupid.
that's not
like,
it. That's
that
not the
somebody-
diversity issue.
Like, I don't think that's really at the top of the list.
No.
Like, maybe I could think about it more that way for a woman. Like, if she's like 6 feet plus and
Sure.
you're so tall, you know what I mean? And it makes you feel like a freak. But,
Yeah.
like, there's literally studies done that tall men fare better
Yeah,
in business,
thrive.
everything. Like,
Yeah.
all these fucking 5'2" bitches that are dating like 6 feet plus being so fucking greedy with the inches. And it's
They're
like.
taking all the inches.
They are, and I don't even mean for me. I'm 5'6". Like I'm good with like 5'9" up, right?
Yeah.
Which is still like snotty, but
Yeah.
we get to have some stuff, all right?
Only holler at Maria in the DMs if you're 5'9" plus.
Yeah, don't slide in unless you got some inches,
Yeah.
but which sounds so gross, but both,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Pressure, but I feel that like I feel compassion for like 5'9" plus women who are like
Yeah,
just
sure.
seeing all these tiny women with really tall dudes, and it's like, can you just stick to your section?
Yeah. The diversity thing's funny because I got this thing called like ABC Diversity Showcase in 2016.
Right.
And I didn't realize I got it because I was bipolar. I thought I got it because I was like ethnically ambiguous. So I went onto this huge meeting at like Warner Brothers or something. Like all the execs are there, and they're like, "Tell us about like why you got selected for diversity." And I was like, "Oh, my
boy.
father's Croatian, my mom's Haitian and Italian." And this lady looks at me, she's like, "That makes you ethnic, not diverse." And I was like, "Oh."
That's not true at all. That is diverse.
Yeah, but like it shook me to my core, and then the rest of the meeting I was just like,
Yeah.
but I should have been like, oh, I'm bipolar. Like that was the reason. That was the diversity.
But you didn't know that.
I know.
No one was
No one
like,
told
just so
me.
you know.
This is why you're here. Nobody did.
I believe you.
Yeah, I thought I still had like my secret safe.
Yeah.
And like everybody.
But how did they know you were bipolar if you weren't doing bits about it?
That's a good question. I think maybe my manager had mentioned something. I think I was definitely hypomanic when I like was in the audition rooms, because I remember just like slaying these auditions. Like
Just being real spicy.
everybody was, just laughing and having a great time, and I was having a great time. I remember like there was a trampoline in the other room, and
It's dangerous.
and me and the guy Jarrell, who was also auditioning for, and he got it also.
Mm-hmm.
We were just bouncing on this trampoline like, we're gonna get this shit, we're gonna get this shit, we're gonna get this shit. And in hindsight,
I love that. That's great.
he was like, oh, this kid's fun, this kid gets it. But like, really, I was for sure having a hypomanic episode.
Sure.
And I think they knew that, but they were like just celebrating my.
I don't know. I wouldn't give them that much credit that they knew that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they didn't know me. So
that's what I'm saying. Is like so many people still don't like. But what I am doing is now when I know I'm going through one or the other, you know, or a mixed, which is if you guys don't know what mixed mood is, it's a really nice combo of manic and depressed put together, where you're like depressed but you have energy from irritability. It's like a key moment to kill yourself.
Yeah, that's the when most people that have bipolar commit suicide is unfortunately during the mixed
and that's
episode.
what happens with unipolar, just like depressed people too, is like people will think they're like getting better from a depression because they'll start to get back a little of their energy, and they're like just enough energy to end this.
Yeah, just enough energy to have awful racing thoughts that are just all bad.
Or even for us, for mixed mood, yes, but for
unipolar,
they're like slow, like you gotta get out of this. It's not worth it.
Right. Yeah, I was talking more of mixed.
For us.
Sorry to not be clear.
No.
Yeah, I only had one it was a long mixed mood session, but I was in a psych ward, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but that was the single worst experience of my entire life. So I feel so bad that you have those on a regular basis.
I could cry just talking about it right now. It was like, that'd be the first cry on the podcast.
Yeah, get a
That's
cry.
Exciting.
Zoom in.
I don't even like crying in front of my therapist. It makes me so angry.
I don't cry.
Because it's just vulnerable. But I think it's also because men aren't taught to cry. Like when I get angry, I cry, which I really hate because I'm like trying to.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a point here.
I'm gonna fucking fuck you, and I'm gonna terrify you emotionally, and then I'll start crying, and I'm like, oh, now I'm mad, and now I'm gonna cry more because I'm more mad.
Yeah.
But what were we just talking about? I guess
mixed moods.
Yeah, like it was just you're just devastated. Like I almost quit my job over and over again for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because I was just putting my boss through it, and she's wonderful. But you just, at that point, my therapist she had told me I needed to get on meds. But she referred me to this fucking $600 a session, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like I make fine money, so it's like it's not that I couldn't do that if I really had to, but that's like me paying like half rent every month, for 30 minutes where they're just gonna be like. And
you were also probably hesitant to like. Were you?
I wasn't. I'm definitely a like. I think I hate big pharma, blah, 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 like pushing meds on everyone, blah, 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 blah. You're just laughing because you're like, yeah, that's a great defense mechanism.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Been there.
Yes.
But it is, big pharma is probably the most evil and corrupt.
Absolutely. That and real estate. Those are the two hot ones. But because I really trust my therapist, and she's also not she's big on CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And because we do have such black and white thinking when we're in either place.
Yeah.
But she had said, she's like, listen, I agree with you. Like, I think there's a lot of bullshit things, that are just covering up symptoms of people's diseases, like physical or mental, instead of getting at the root and trying to solve it when it could be, or heal it, She's like, but mood stabilizers are a lot different than a lot of other mental health drugs. And then she sent me this website, which is great, which I've sent it to you as well. It's psycheducation.org. It's run by these two dudes that are, therapists, and they show the spectrum of bipolar on the front page, which I love. So you immediately are like, oh, this is some good landscape for what I'm going to read on here.
Yeah.
And, but they cite every single source when they're in any of their articles. So you don't have to just take it at face value and be like, well, who knows what this fucking guy knows, But that has a lot of good info about mood stabilizers on there and the different shit you can be on. And so it's I knew that I needed to get on them, and I couldn't just do I'm trying to remember the phrase for it, but when you just do things to help you mood stabilize that are not meds, there's some kind of something rhythm, I can't remember, social rhythms or something. So examples are you get up and you go to bed at the same time, which is useless for stand up, because fucking they'll be like, you have a 12:30 spot, and you're tight, okay, so I'm gonna go to bed.
I'll be there.
Yeah, exactly, I'll do anything, I'm a whore, and I'm not gonna get paid either. And another one is you eat your food at the same time. You
Sure.
exercise at the same time.
Yeah.
You do nothing fun. Like, my therapist basically wants me to be like a fucking, I told her, I was like, you just want me to be a fucking nun. No hormonal birth control, so condoms for the rest of my life. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely not.
Right.
But, let's see, no caffeine. I'm drinking coffee. But I'm on meds, so whatever.
Yeah.
No alcohol, which I was already not doing when I got to her, so that wasn't a big one. No weed, no drugs, something else I can't remember. But you're like, dog, I gotta live. Like, I'm not gonna not fuck.
Yeah, I have a point, but we have to stop the cameras for that stupid thing that we have to do.
Yeah,
so let me
26
do that.
minutes.
Let
Boom,
me
boom,
do
boom.
that real quick.
Yeah.
But this is great. This is great. I'm loving this. Anyways, okay.
You know what? Sometime I'll like pass it to you, and you can give it a shot, and like you could shoot with both and see what it looks like.
Okay.
And then if it doesn't suck, because it's like,
That
I
sounds
keep
great.
telling myself I'm gonna like record every set, and I'm so bad about it.
I record them all, and then I just never watch them.
Now, see, I think it's just narcissism, but I won't listen to audio recordings. But I think the video ones are stimulating enough that I'm like, I still want to avoid it, but like once I get into it, I'm like, oh, this is okay. Like, I know how to do stand up. Look at that.
Yeah, but just the audio. I mean,
Getting it started is, it's just boring. You're like, I already fucking know what I said. I don't want to do this. And you don't hear how many little things you've done. This
Yeah.
is all going to be boring for your listeners, but anyway.
Yeah, we have.
Just
I'm not
talking
gonna
shop.
cut
Okay.
all. I'm gonna cut all. Yeah,
Anyway.
so we're back, and we were talking about the word that we probably should have Googled while we were off.
Social rhythming.
Social rhythming.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can Google it right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my god, my therapist texted me. She could like sense.
She could sense that her name was mentioned.
She was like, keep my name out of your mouth.
I wonder if you have also wondered this, if like to have a stable and better life with this bipolar disorder, if quitting comedy would actually greatly enhance your life.
So, I mean, I do like to contemplate quitting comedy,
But I mean, like,
every depressive cycle, and just when you're looking at Instagram and everyone else nailing it too
Yeah.
much, etc.
yeah.
Well,
But I mean,
wanna hear-
I mean, like, as a life choice.
Right? No, I get it.
To like be like, okay,
I want
this
you to
would be.
pitch it because I have a counter to that.
Yeah, no, I will never do it. But
Right, but that's different, right? Choosing to not do it doesn't mean you don't know that it might be a better choice. You know what I mean?
If I got a 9-to-5 job, right, and woke up at the same time and went to bed at the same time, and ate my lunch in the rec room or whatever the fuck.
The rec room?
What's it called?
The break
cafeteria.
room?
The cafeteria.
The rec room.
And
That's where kids play.
whatever.
Like,
I've never had a job, if you can't tell. A real job. I've had all sorts of stupid, weird day jobs, but like I worked in restaurants a lot, so like I still eat my like meal, like my
Standing
break,
up?
like in 4 or 5 seconds because
Just
I'm just
inhale
used
it.
to yeah,
Yeah.
which is bad. Anyways, we digress. Just as a life it would probably
lifestyle choice.
lifestyle
yeah.
choice. It would probably be you would be more stable.
I think that is partially true, but what I will say that I have thought about a lot is I think one of the reasons that things haven't gone more off the rails is because we get regular hits of adrenaline and dopamine and endorphins from doing stand-up. So, like, for example, if I'm super, like, I think I messaged you last time I was, like, really depressed, and I was like, do you ever cancel, like, on stuff? And you were
yeah.
like, yeah, totally. And I feel, I'm sure you do too, but I feel like a shithead when I have to do that.
Yeah.
And I'll just be open about it if it's anyone that I feel, like, if it's Amy, for example, like, New York Comedy Club, plug.
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey,
Don't email her.
I'm in a super depressive cycle, and I just can't. Yeah, and I've probably done it twice. Like,
yeah, I mean, I only told you to cancel because I emailed Amy and said, "Can I take Maria Heinegg's spot?" I've never canceled a spot in my life.
yeah,
and
cool. I love that for you.
No.
But I made myself go, and I do the same thing, and I also do it with the gym. And the reason for that is that I know that it's not gonna like snap me out of a depression or anything.
No, but
it'll give you like, it can give you a boost and it can make you feel like 10% better.
Sure.
Like I'll go ahead.
And my argument is that what the fuck is that doing to our brain?
What?
You know?
Oh, the adrenaline?
Going on stage, being, doing well, getting all that adrenaline, getting all that dopamine.
Yeah.
And then going and sitting at a bar and not having a drink to celebrate and just like, then you're just back to life and you're on the subway and you're like, oh, no one knows what the fuck just happened. And
yeah, but that's like an external validation thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's more
what
of
I'm doing it for.
Right. No, I mean, not that I'm not. I'm just doing it to be zen and like share my hyper intelligent comedic thoughts. No, but I think that's more of a social media addiction that we have been.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So for me, like for example, when I'm hypomanic, for me that like, Sean O'Shawn, like that is a detriment to him, he feels like. Or I think he said maybe it's when he's depressed.
When he's depressed, he can't perform.
Yeah.
Hypomania, we were talking about, is a sweet spot.
Yeah, you can fucking just get in there and you're wild and you have like no and a bit. I mean, it's great. It's like I have a bit where I'm like, being manic is better than being on drugs, but wow, that does not stop you from taking drugs or alcohol. You're just
Very
like,
funny.
yeah, let's just dial this up.
Yeah.
It's already so good.
I have a new bit that I'm trying on stage, and I don't want to offend you, but it's...
I can't wait.
Not everyone that has blue hair is bipolar, but everyone with blue hair is bipolar.
What are you saying?
Blue hair.
Oh, blue.
Oh, was that not clear? We'll do it again.
Say it, do it again. Run it back.
Not everyone... No, I'm not going to do it again.
No, do it again.
Not everyone that has blue hair is bipolar, but everyone with blue hair is bipolar.
It's fucking... I say that. That's funny. I don't specify that it's blue, but blue. I'm like, you can tell by my hair that something's off.
Yeah.
But it's fucking... I'm so... This is another, like, bipolar theory I have. Like, I'm so addicted to color. Like, it's so stimulating to me. Obviously, when you're hypomanic, you're like, oh my God, that yellow is so beautiful. Like, everything's more intense.
Do you think you have that, what's it called? Eclamia? It's like you hear in colors almost, or you. My sister has it. It's actually really cool, but I guess maybe you should look into that. It might be something that you have.
I would love.
It's not like a disorder or anything.
I'd love to have another thing.
Pile them on, baby. Let me tell my therapist.
Yeah, let's just.
No, it's not like a condition, like a disorder. It's just like
a method of understanding or something.
Yeah, you see in colors. I should know before I talk. Let me ask staff. Yeah. That's cool though. That
I don't know if you
disagree.
Feel that way. I know. I mean, I don't think either are wrong, but I think when I'm hypomanic, that's such a healthy way to get those feelings out, as opposed to me going on like a shopping rampage or sending a really bad message to someone because I'm like, hey, I was just thinking about how much I fucking hate what you said to me 7 years ago. You know what I mean? So I do think that's like a way you can channel it.
I love it, and don't get me wrong, I love stand-up so fucking much. It's saved my life in many ways. I would be a disaster without it.
Yeah. And the gym, to be honest. Like, it sounds silly, but it's exercising. So real.
Yeah. My day job is like I move people. I'm a mover. Mm-hmm. And like people hate it and I hate it. I really do. But like at the end of the day, I'm forced to be somewhere at 9 a.m. Mm-hmm. and then I exercise for 6 hours.
Yep.
It's kind of like a life-saving.
Chill you out,
and I'm just carrying boxes. I can't think about all this shitty stuff in the world. I have a job and I have to do it. Yeah.
You're present.
Yeah. I mean, I have to be because like, I'm still thinking and like, whatever.
Yeah, but you get to kind of, there's some meditation.
There's a meditation. I'm wrapping up furniture.
It's the same thing when you're in the shower. That's why people get great ideas in the shower, I feel, is because you know what you're doing, so you can go to this place. Like, I've thought of jokes in the shower.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I've run out of the shower naked to write down jokes, and my girlfriend's like, I think you're manic.
I mean, I relieved that you were naked in the shower at the very least. You're not like a never nude or anything.
I'm not a never nude. No. That show's so funny.
But yes.
Arrested Development, anyone?
Plug.
Hello.
Plug.
Yeah, plug. Jason Bateman, put me in something. Imagine we both get. New season of Arrested Development starring Maria Heinegg and Matt Pavich.
And that's it. Nobody else.
Nobody else. Everyone's so confused.
It's like a remake. They're like, this is bad.
Yeah. Bring back the old show. What's the weirdest, or not weirdest, but like you said you go on these shopping sprees.
Sure.
Do you have any like, just like, what the fuck did I buy?
Here's the thing with my hypomania is you mood stabilize, as far as I have seen you and heard you talk about. You're pretty chill. Like, you're not the same person at all necessarily.
No,
like,
yeah.
You're super laconic and kind of reserved.
Just Google laconic.
Being able to say what you mean in few words without.
Okay.
And I am... Me, hypomanic, is just Maria plus. Like, it's
Gotcha.
who I am mood stabilized to.
Uh-huh.
Or not to. I mean, obviously, it's heightened. Like, when I'm hypomanic, I should not drive. I have learned that lesson.
You're a speedster.
Far before. Not even a speedster, but just not focusing, right? Like, I straight up almost fucking hit a guy in a crosswalk, like... I don't know, like 7 months ago.
Jesus.
He was wearing all tan, in my opinion, so he was just one color. But I was like...
That's what you're going to tell the judge?
Yeah. But I was like...
Look, he was wearing all tan. I don't know what you want me to do. Was I going 70 miles per hour? Sure, but the guy's wearing all tan.
I mean, it might have been... I was going like 11 miles per hour.
Still,
it wasn't... But yes,
he was wearing all tan.
Within... He was, which was his mistake.
Yeah.
But he wanted to get
Were
hit.
you in the desert?
Well, what were you wearing?
Why was tan the
It just like the buildings behind him were also
tan.
Yeah.
Where the fuck were you?
It was tense, and like you said, we were in Afghanistan. But that's probably
that makes more sense. Not a good joke.
It's just like you're distracted. You can't focus the same way.
Yeah.
You're kind of doing things mindlessly.
Oh yeah, I drive like a fucking asshole when I'm
6 inches from this guy.
Jeez.
And he was furious, which I went so far. I wasn't just like wave sorry. Like I pulled over and I was like, hey, I'm so sorry, but I just couldn't get into it with him and be like, I'm hypomanic and I haven't found a med yet. Like it was like,
You call your therapist, put her on speakerphone.
Yeah, just tell him, which she would never. Like she's so like rulesy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she talked to me. She spent like fucking 10 minutes of a session. I mean, she gave me back the time, but like explaining to me like the legalities behind doing like telemedicine instead of in person and what insurance. And I was like, Lynn, just fucking let's go.
Yeah.
Like who gives a shit?
I understand that a little bit.
She like warned me that the government would know because I submit to insurance like with diagnostic codes that they would know that I was bipolar, and I was like. They could look at my fucking Instagram. Like, who gives a shit? Like,
yeah.
I don't.
She's just trying to protect you, though.
No, I mean, it's all good stuff for people that are less open than me, which is pretty much everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
But it's like, we're stand-ups. Like, we go on stage and we say all of the shit that is, like, most personal to us.
Yeah.
So, does the government know I'm, like, I fucking pay my taxes. Who gives a shit?
The government for sure knows I'm bipolar from my hospital records.
I've never been hospitalized.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Just cross those fingers. Jeez.
But I also didn't know. So, like, if, I went through manic episodes, like, you were talking about shopping sprees.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was actually more interested in what you were saying about how my baseline, or whatever you want to call it, is so far removed from my hypomanic or manic self. Yeah. And you feel like you're...
Similar. It's similar.
Yeah. Which is very interesting and because I find such a fucking hard time identifying my hypomania, which I mean...
Because you just feel happy.
Yeah, anyone can tell.
Yeah.
But with you, it must be extremely difficult for people to tell you, hey, I think you're a little elevated or whatever, because you are a fast talker.
Yeah.
You are a high energy person.
Yep.
Yeah. So, man, that's something like my mind is like... I never even...
Yeah, and I thought about it immediately, like when just knowing you, because I don't think I've ever, at least not knowingly, seen you hypomanic or manic.
You would know.
Sure, yeah. I mean, especially now that I've been diagnosed, because obviously I'm just more aware of that. Like, I spent so much more time since I was diagnosed identifying like, oh, maybe that person, you know, like you can just
The sympathy really
see
does.
the fucking Matrix code, you know?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, apparently is like sushi recipes of his wife, like whoever was in charge of putting that together. Like it's the code is just like Asian symbols for like sushi recipes.
Hilarious.
I learned that from a comics Instagram who I can't plug, which is really going to impact her career. That I can't remember.
We'll put it in the credits.
Emily Winter, I think.
Emily Winters.
Writing it down. Oh my god.
We'll put her Instagram at the bottom.
There's some great moment in a movie where like they're like taking notes about and he's like, what are you fucking writing down? Like he's totally paranoid about it.
Yeah, it just says sushi.
And I'm pretty sure like he grabs a notebook too to be like, well, if you're gonna fucking take notes, I'm gonna fucking take notes.
And you can't remember that movie either?
No, I got
You're
nothing.
doing great with the plugs.
First of all right, I don't need this at all. Second of all, I'm still concerned I'm not in the camera.
You are way more in the camera now.
Good. I wouldn't
move
want
the
to
camera.
miss out on this visual opportunity. But
Yeah.
I actually have an incredible memory, as far as I've been told. Usually it's in a resentful way from people that I remember shit they wish I did not.
Yeah. My memory is shot.
Well, but there's also like the amygdala is what fires off when we're hypomanic or manic,
Yeah,
and it's
and
what
that's your memory.
And it's super related to remembering, and also smell, and then it's decreased and not firing off like at a standard level when we're depressed.
Sure.
So that makes sense that your memory would be shot. Like I think I'm an exception to that, and it's certainly way worse than like when you're 20 and you can just soak up everything, like, and you're a kid. Like that's why kids remember everything. Like I had a friend who was pregnant, and there's like a pregnancy like haze where you can't remember stuff, and her 3-year-old would like see people whose names she couldn't remember and be like, "Hi, Alice," and she'd be like, "Woo, good thing I brought you."
Yeah.
Because they're just sponges.
Yeah, I think my memory is I smoked a lot of weed when I at like a young age. Also, I was just like burnt out for like a long time, and also the bipolar.
And it's avoidance, right?
It's also me, just.
My dad once said that. He was like, if you have to be altered more than 50% of your waking hours, like, that means it's not recreational,
Yeah.
I think 50% is also a little generous.
Yeah.
It should be like maybe 15, 20.
Yeah, my dad on the last episode was like, "You were a happy kid." Like, I should have said like, "Yeah, I was a fucking kid." What did I have to be upset about? I
mean, some kids are sad, but I also
Sure.
think they don't know when bipolar kicks in anymore. They used to say like 20s, and now they're saying younger and younger. So
younger and younger, and older also. There is really no.
First of all, I don't appreciate you calling me old.
I wasn't calling you old. I was saying that you had a later.
No, go ahead, back out of it. That's. But yeah, no, that's. I mean, it sucks, right? And also, I'm someone like I was raised middle class. I had access to college. Like I didn't have to pay for it. No student loans. Nothing.
God bless.
I know. I'm trying to funnel it into credit card debt with personal decisions.
I just want to be like everyone else.
Yeah, I just want to fit in. Yeah. And but the fact that it took this long, you know what I mean, to get diagnosed, like imagine you are like in a low income household where like you're single parent, check to check, can't afford enough for like fucking a backpack to go to school. I'm really trying to bring everyone down.
Yeah.
Like a tough situation.
Yeah.
And there's mental health isn't talked about at all. Like it was talked about in my family. Like
very few resources.
My mom has depression and she like went to therapy for it. You know what I mean? Like, I have at least one cousin on both sides of my family that has bipolar and is open about it.
Yeah.
But you have to go to a practitioner that fucking knows about bipolar, and it's strange because it's like when you go to the doctor, just like regular general practitioner doctor, and you just trust that if anything is wrong with you, that they're going to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
They're going to see that that's a problem and they're going to know what to do. And that's so not like, imagine that you're just a general doctor and there's all the things, like your whole body, your whole mind, that they're going to know a lot of. It's like, no. And the same thing is true with therapists, right? Yeah. Like they only know about the things that they have like either had patients that had it and they diagnosed it correctly, or they've spent a lot of time researching it, or it's like one of their focuses or interests or whatever.
Yeah.
They can't know about everything.
I mean, bipolar is a pretty big one.
I would agree, personally, at least in my life.
Yeah.
But, all these all these therapists I went to, I wouldn't say that they were like, I mean, one of them was shitty. He's one of the two Allens that a lot of there's like a poor comic Allen therapist, and then there's like a rich comic Allen therapist, and I went to poor. Yeah. He wasn't great. He sent me into a suicidal episode.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Not the best. Very cheap though. Very affordable.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
I'm part of this clinic at Bellevue where I was hospitalized a few times. So
that's the premium one. That's the one they love to reference in movies. So congrats on that. You really
thank you. My special is going to be called Wednesdays at Bellevue.
Nice.
Which
I love that. Is that when the karaoke was?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I told you my memories.
Very good. Very good.
Latch onto a lot of details. It's ruined a lot of people's lives.
So, I have very affordable therapy.
Yeah.
But they're I think just got their
funding.
They're only there for a very short amount of time.
Who's they?
The therapist.
You mean for a certain amount of months or hours
so
in the day?
my therapists keep changing.
Got it. Yeah, your get cycled out to somebody new. Yeah, you got to reset with every fucking. You're like, well, here's my life story. We'll spend 10, sessions on this again.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, at least you can cut it down to a tight 15.
I've seriously got it mapped out. My mom, my dad, my sister, my.
Here are my attachment disorders are as follows.
Yeah, I'm going to seriously print it out for the next one because I can't do it again. I'm aren't you guys taking notes? And we have very, very serious, very,
But we don't read anyone
notes.
else's notes.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool.
Yeah. What's
you
the
should
point?
ask that. You should, next time you get, I hope you don't show up and they inform you when you get there.
No, they give me a 2-week notice, which is.
That's good. What if you just show up and they're like, it's me now every time? You should be like, well, I would love if you gave them my file now. Because if you don't, I'm going to fire them. I don't know what the consequence. They're I'm going to stop going there, and it's only going to be my own detriment. But that'll teach you guys a lesson.
Yeah, I'll show you my.
That's Nate Bargatze's joke about. He's I'd quit comedy, but there's nobody to quit to. And one of the lines in it used to be I guess I could quit to Bill Cosby, but at this point, probably not. Not a great reference.
No. Nate's so funny.
Oh my God. I think he's my favorite comic.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. He's my mother's favorite comic.
Well, isn't your mom's name Maria?
Martha.
I swear to God, your dad kept saying, hi, Maria,
That's
on the podcast.
my stepmom.
Oh, got it. Okay. It's very triggering to hear your own name, but not in a bad way, but
that's me.
I'm me, you're talking to me, Matt Pavich's dad.
That was such a good app. That was so.
I bet you it was therapeutic, right?
That's what I was just gonna say. It was a family therapy session, and I my buddy made this good point, Anthony. He's I wonder if you could have done that without the podcast. He's I think something about the mic being on, and
we're used to it. The mic on, it feels more.
But for him, I'm
safe.
saying him, he knew that. Not the world, but people were going to hear.
The
it's
whole world.
But you know what I mean? It's out.
Yeah.
And he was still so vulnerable and so honest.
It's impressive.
And all. Yeah.
But I also think it made it easier conduit for you to have that conversation, right?
That's exactly what we were discussing. Yeah. It felt more like work, not work, but career and professional oriented. And it was so beautiful. And,
well, it's really hard to have that, organized of a avenue to have that conversation. If you just walked into your dad's house and you were like, hey, I just want to have a 45-minute with you about bipolar,
the game's on, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. Turn off the TV, we're gonna do this, you know? That'd be so
be weird.
It'd be just hard to do.
Exactly.
Unless you're gonna treat it like some kind of strange reverse intervention where you're we're gonna talk about this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it was an interesting point that my buddy made, and I'm very grateful that I have this podcast to have family therapy sessions with my father.
Yeah,
and
it's really like positively
I'm gonna have
manipulative.
my mom on. Yeah, it's great.
There's a couple things I got out of that episode. I wish I had brought, or I mean, I'm sure they're on my phone, but I had taken notes about things that I related to that you said when I was listening to episodes, and probably mostly for being like, how can I use this in a bit?
Yeah.
But let's not pretend that I'm just some like altruistic like podcast listener taking fucking notes like a weirdo.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a weirdo, but you know, we're all weirdos, I guess.
Quick thing before you get into
Dig
that.
into your dad.
Dig into my dad. Yeah. I remember. So we both talk about being bipolar on stage.
Do you mean when we did it back to back?
When we did it, yeah. I think, were you hosting or you were just on the show?
Yeah, I was hosting.
You were hosting, I was first.
Yeah.
And it was like, probably like 2 weeks before I'm recording my special. And
Sorry, I just already noticed.
I get up there and I'm doing my bipolar stuff and it's fucking flatlining. And I'm like in album mode, so I'm like, these jokes like are tight. I know that they're funny, and I just keep going. No, I'm getting nothing. I'm so confused. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I get off stage, and you're like, oh, I just did like 15 minutes on being bipolar. And I was like, that makes so much more sense. So people will be responsive to you opening up about your mental health.
Yeah.
But if people go back to back about opening
They're
up about
pretty
their
tired of
mental
it.
health, nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
So just
I don't even think it's nobody gives a fuck. They're like, I just didn't know I was coming to a bipolar comedy show. Just all of the comics do that.
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and I thought about it for like because obviously my whole 15 was not on it. I was working on like
Sure.
a 4-minute bit on it or
Well,
whatever.
yeah, it just.
But I thought about, I was like, oh, Matt's next and he does have a bipolar chunk, but I don't know that he's doing it today. Like,
Right.
I just didn't, and I should have given you a heads up, but I just didn't think about it.
It
I just wanted to bury you.
Yeah, you
That was
wanted to bury me. She recorded the whole thing. Just you with your phone.
Just you bombing. You weren't even bombing, though. I do gotta say, like, you thought you were, but I was in the room for part of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you were like, you know, you weren't killing either,
Yeah.
but you were getting laughs on it. I just think because you know how good that material is, you weren't getting the laughs you felt like you should be getting and
Well,
what
thank
you're
you. That's
used
very
to.
kind. Yeah.
But it's not even a kind thing. Like, you know, when you go to watch a video, like a recording of a set,
Yeah.
and you remember it happening in a certain way, and part of it obviously is like the audio of just like your fucking phone or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's not great for picking up someone monologuing into a mic and
audience
laughs and audience claps the same way. Or that's my explanation.
It's for sure the truth. Yeah.
But you'll get on there and you'll be like, I remember this fucking killing, and this sounds like titters.
Yeah.
Like, you know, where you're like, or I even have seen the reverse where I'm like, that didn't go that great, and then you'll get on there and you'll be like, I sound like I'm nailing it.
Yeah.
They love this. So I feel like that is part of it. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as you felt that first laugh line not hit the way you wanted it to,
Yeah.
then your brain goes into natural, like, defense mode
Sure.
where you're like, oh, this is just bad now. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I was wildly confused, and
That's so, I
And-
love that so much. I realize that it fucked with you emotionally at the
Yeah.
time, but that's
no,
like,
it wasn't like an emotional thing.
so
I just
hilarious.
was truly like,
you're like, this math is bad.
yeah. It sucked.
You should know though, like, you doing that section on bipolar really helped me when I first saw it, because I actually find that the things that I feel most deeply about, I have the hardest time writing material about. And not because I don't feel like I can talk about it. I have, like, you talk about how, like, and this actually loops into one of the things I wanted to say about your dad episode, is you talk about how, like, you don't want to put any weight on anyone else, like, sharing your shit.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't view it that way, but I also didn't get diagnosed when I was 20 years old, right? Like, I got diagnosed, like, at a real adult age.
Yeah.
Of 20. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I'm 50. I look great. But like, you have so much more, like, depth of experience to, like, be able to sort of look at it more objectively, or with less, like, anxiety around it, or I don't want to see myself this way.
Yeah.
And I think that has partially what's impacted like the way that I handle it. You know what I mean?
Huh.
And so that made me think about it, like in your dad. Well, first of all, I want to say something funny about your dad episode. You were like, I sleep a lot. Sometimes I go to bed at 1 and I get up at 9, which is 8 hours. I love that you
Did I say that?
You said, or I think you said like 9 or 10 or 10 or 11, but you described a number of hours that's not crazy to get.
That's pretty crazy though.
But if you...
Every day, you don't think that's like...
8.5 hours is how many hours
no,
you're supposed to sleep?
it wasn't 8.5 hours. I said at least, it must have been at least 10.
10 every night? You get 10 every single night?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's too much. I'm sleeping my life away.
I mean, that's one way to look. I don't know. I have to sleep that many hours, like a couple nights a month, because I have endometriosis, and it just sucks. It's just a lady disease where you have like the blood that comes out. Is really exciting for your listeners. They're like, we're not ready for this. But that same material that builds up in your uterus, which is what you shed out when you have your period, grows in other parts of your body outside your uterus. So when those hormones come that give you cramps, you're getting them in other parts of your body, and it just like fucks you up.
So you need a lot of sleep for that.
But so I have to sleep like I'll forget sometimes and be
maybe
like,
that's what I have.
Yeah, maybe that makes sense. I have felt that your periods are off lately.
Sorry, that's insensitive.
And I'm offended. I don't know if you could tell, but there was something my mind has wandered off from wherever we were, but
we were talking about how great my episode was with my father and how this is the greatest podcast on earth.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. But one of the things you talked about is you don't want to burden other people with it. Yeah. And the reason I view it differently, and as because I was diagnosed later, I don't see it the same way, because I feel like when I tell people, hey, this is my deal, when I'm in a mood, like when I'm cycling, it gives them context to like, for example, if my behavior makes them feel a type of way where they think, oh, I did something and she's upset with me and that's why she's depressed. It's
more of an understanding thing than a burden thing.
Exactly, where they don't have to, they're like, oh, Maria's feeling this way, so if she's not talkative or she's being like intense with me, like, oh, that's why that's happening. Yeah. And I also think it's important to do it because it's like, because I kind of have nothing to lose, like we're stand-ups and people are just going to know about it and it's out there in public. I think I mean, you can make it corny and be like, it's a duty, to spread mental health awareness. we're just really helping everyone out of the kindness of our hearts, with no benefit to ourselves. None. But also it's like, it's so much easier for me to say that to people and not feel, inhibited in the way that somebody else would, where they're like, this could fuck my career over. Or, oh, did the camera turn off?
I think it turned off, yeah.
You want to go look?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, do your thing. I mean, I assume do you post the whole episode?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Wow, we've never had to stop twice before. It's pretty cool.
Listen, I told you, like, this, I can talk for a long time.
Yeah. So what were we?
I once recorded a podcast with, like, a friend of mine with my old podcast. The Worst Thing with Maria Heinegg, which at the time I didn't know the worst thing. Well, I guess I probably said it was my dead brother, but now in retrospect, it could be him or the bipolar. Mm-hmm. Or maybe a combo, because I'm sure I went through a depressive cycle when he died, which is, it's a fun 2-for-1. 2-for-1. Yeah.
The worst things.
Yeah, multiple. We recorded for so long that I had to break it up into like 3 episodes. It was crazy. And each one was like an hour and a half. Wow. Because I was talking about like the legal system with my friend Regatas Appling, who's a public defender for criminal defense. Cool. Like through legal aid, which, by the way, if you guys need any legal services, like they're a not-for-profit where you don't have to pay.
What's the?
Legal aid.
Legal aid.
And so we're talking about these real big picture issues, right? Of like all the devastating, he's taking a note, all the devastating things, of the legal system and how it fucks people over, specifically of color, et cetera. And so we just kept talking, and I know her really well, so we could just fucking, chop it up. Yeah. Really easy conversation. Yeah. So what were the other notes that you had that along with not wanting to like lay the burden on other people around sharing, like when you're in that place, 2 things I got out of that. One, because I'm sure you're so in your head about it, I think that probably makes you less talkative. I mean, I didn't know you obviously previous, but because you're like, oh, I don't want to see, I'm worried that I'm going to come off hypomanic or
100%.
Whereas I'm like, well, if it comes up, it comes up. Like, I have no inhibitions about it. But the other thing that I got out of it was you're like, you know, your dad was like, I've never had, you know, you've never said that to me. And I'm super open about it, but I'm more guarded about it with my mom. I would say my dad, but my dad's never gotten on the phone in his life unless he's been forced to for like 90 seconds, which I think we share in common.
Yeah, my dad's terrible on the phone.
Baby boomer fathers, you know? But I will tell her less, and not because I don't care for her to know, like I have any, you know, worries, but, or like, I don't feel like embarrassed to share it with her, but I know it's going to stress her out and she's going to be ruminating on it. She has anxiety, you know, like, and she's going to be thinking about it so much, you know?
Yeah, it is funny that I'm like,
that one I feel a burden about.
Yeah,
you know?
I'll tell strangers in a comedy show like that I've been in a psych ward many times.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid to tell my dad, like, hey, I'm not fucking feeling great this week. Like, there is something about like not wanting to burden someone, and I think it also is just like it's literally too close to home, you know? It's like
sure. Well, and it's also it's triggering for them, right? Because it's, and also there's a fear of negative consequences, and I feel it way more so in therapy, where like if I show up for my weekly appointment and I know or think that I've been hypomanic or been in a mixed mood or been depressed,
you have guilt.
I feel like total guilt. Like you feel like you like didn't do your homework for class.
Yeah, you're showing up without.
Yeah,
this is perfect.
Shame, guilt. Like, and I've talked about it with her. Like I'll talk about fucking anything with her, you know, because that's what you're paying them for.
Yeah.
So you better just like I have friends.
Better get it out.
I have friends who are in therapy and they're like, I don't tell them everything, and I'm like,
you're wasting your money.
I'm like, not only are you wasting your money, but like, do you want to heal or what? Like,
why?
Yeah, why? Like, that's the whole, that's the only person you can talk to where you don't have any concern of impacting relationships with them.
It's the whole
by
point.
Saying the most humiliating shit about yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone else, you're like, well, what if they stop talking to me?
Yeah.
Or you say something that involves someone that's a mutual friend that they don't feel that way about. That's a big thing, especially with like Me Too stuff, is like, I have to be careful, like, who I talk about, like, oh, this guy is problematic too. Like, I did it one time with a friend of mine, and she ended up being really good about it. She's like, listen, he's a friend of mine too, but I would never, like, deny your experience. But I just thought, like, I was going to reference, like, oh, so-and-so who's, like, kind of trashy, like, you know, he was like that, which is not surprising. And she's like, oh, he's, like, a really close friend of mine. And I was like, oh, but I do love to put my foot in my mouth with, like, talking trash about, you know, this person or that with someone that I'm like, they have to perceive that person the same way that I do.
Yeah.
Which is wildly
not
presumptuous.
The way it works. Yeah.
Anyway, but so the dad thing, like, that's the exception, I think, to my comfortability being open. Like, I'm open with my fucking coworkers. Like, I was slacking with like one of the attorneys at my company, and I was like, I'm definitely hypomanic right now. Here's what it's like to be hypomanic. And I'll be, obviously I'm open with it with my like bipolar family members. I mean, I really only talk to two of them about it just because I don't speak to two of them that often, not like because there's any bad blood or anything.
No,
so my aunt, who I'm not genetically related to, she's my uncle's wife. Or widow now. He actually just passed away like a month or two ago, which is terrible. He's a really good dude, and he was really good to me. Like, he gave me some books, or a book on mental illness. He was great. But the other one is my cousin, also on my dad's side. And you think I talk fast and like send a lot of, I mean, I don't know that you think this, but like send like a million, you know, text messages or whatever, like IGs. DMs, like, she'll fucking, like, she can shoot them off. Like, I don't think like, it's inspirational, to be honest. Like, she'll go off, you know, and it's easiest to go to them. I also have a really close family friend. Her dad has done things with money, who's also bipolar, that I can't, like, one time he would just disappear and he wouldn't tell his wife he was going anywhere, which is not totally uncommon, but he would do like months long wild shit. Like, he disappeared, and she was so used to it because he'd been doing it to her their whole marriage, and he was undiagnosed. Like, this is like 20 years into their marriage. He calls her like a week and a half after he's disappeared, and he's like, hey, I'm in Argentina, I'm getting liposuction, I'll be back in April.
Whoa.
Like, which is, right? Like, just, that's some next level shit.
That is next level.
Yeah. Another time he disappeared, and he called her however many days, weeks later, and they lived in Texas at the time, and he's like, hey, I'm in Oregon, I bought a $60,000 RV, I'm going to Canada, I'll be back. Like, I mean, just stuff where you're like, whoa. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
That's a flex. That's a manic flex.
That's for sure. You know,
I'm grateful that I'm always poor, because I would have blown through a couple fortunes for sure.
Yeah. I do like smaller, like, I just buy too much of something that you're like, how could you get?
Why did you think you need that many paper towels? Like something like that?
$120 worth of nail polish last June. I needed 15 colors. You never know when you're going to be in a nail polish emergency. And as you can tell by my nails, I'm really passionate about it. And you can't return nail polish, FYI. No. Amazon's not really into that.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
Or, I mean, I'm sure you could, but, like, who in their right minds enjoys online returns? Like, I'm just going to take the L on $120.
100%. I have sneakers. I'm like, what size shoe are you?
I'm an 8.
Damn.
Yeah.
Been trying to get rid of these.
You thought that you and I might have the same size feet?
No, I ordered size 10s.
Yeah.
And I thought they were men's shoes, and they're women's shoes.
10 is so big. That'd be crazy.
Well...
I love that you don't know that, though.
I don't know that.
Your girlfriend's tall, though, isn't she?
No.
She's not. I don't know why I thought she was tall.
She's not tall.
I think she's just really slender, so I assumed she was tall, but she's just
She's
skinny.
not tall. She's she's like 5'2",
5'2"? Oh, man, I really picture her differently. I don't know
She's
why.
going to be mad that I don't know how tall she is. 5'3.5". I want to say 5'3.5".
Okay, all right. Yeah, you want to? Should we do an over/under?
Yeah. She's somewhere between 5 foot and 5'5".
She's shorter than I am, as far as I know.
I think so. Yeah.
No, I meant you, but.
Oh yeah, she's definitely shorter than me. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a compliment to her because my only reference is like how she sounded on the episode, and you know how you'll picture cool, smart, whatever people as being tall. In my mind, she was tall for that reason.
She has tall energy.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah, big inch energy.
Big inch energy. Yeah, well done.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I don't remember why we brought your girlfriend up, or I brought it was somehow related to something.
Height.
Oh, shoes. Like
shoes, yeah.
If she was like 5'9", like someone who's 5'9", like as
might
a woman,
have a size 10.
Size 10 would not be wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just got to find a tall female friend.
Yeah, because size 10 in men's I think is size 10 in women's I think is size 8 in men's. Yeah. So you could also just find a dude with small feet.
That's true. They are very cool.
You could sell them on one of those sneaker sites.
But that's how we got to it. I'm never going to do that.
I'm going to need to see them after, and we'll talk about it.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll game plan who they need to go to. All
right.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to sell me sneakers on your fucking podcast.
I wasn't selling them. I'm going to give them away because it's too late.
Then you can put them outside.
Yeah, I guess.
I'd rather give them to someone.
I want to give them to someone. They're very cool.
Give them to someone bipolar. I get it. You know what? I'll take them and I'll just stuff them.
Yeah. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to mention?
I mean, a billion things, but there's just only so much. You know what we should do is you should have me back after you've had I'm just immediately pressuring you to have me back. You should have me back after 10 more episodes, and I'll just get the whole episode with me just be giving you notes on things I've thought about from your episode.
I love that.
Oh my God. The one other thing that I did think about from listening to your episodes, which sounds silly, and it's very much like, well, I struggle in a way you don't, or whatever, is because my hypomania or even mania is so much closer to my baseline. Yeah. It's like when you're manic, you're so clearly a completely different person, and people know, or I mean, people that know like this is a mental illness. Yeah. And we sort of talked about it earlier, but it's like I feel this deep sense of guilt and shame also from hypomania, because even though there won't necessarily be big ramifications in the way that there is to a manic episode, it's just who people think I am.
Yeah.
Even that are semi close to me. You know what I mean? Because it's not totally, off the Richter scale.
Right.
And they're like, that's just like my friend commented the other day. She was like, Maria, you've always been extra. And I'm like, like, it's not wrong, but with the context of bipolar, like, it feels painful to hear that a little bit, where you're like, I don't want to be extra. I want to be a cool guy, Like, I want to be one of those, like, New York chicks that wears all black that just looks fucking cool all the time. But it's just not who I am, I
don't know what that has
That's a thing. What?
You were like, I feel this guilt for being...
Or not guilt and jealousy.
And then all of a sudden, it's just like, I want to wear all black and be a cool chick. It's just like, okay, you could definitely...
But it's
I know what you're saying.
I've never looked at something online in multiple colors and been like, black. Like, I was looking at these Steve Madden, like, patent leather boots, which is already extra right there. You don't even need 100%. To add to it.
Yeah.
And there's, like... I ordered the bright pink, and then I ordered the bright blue, and I was like, what is this gonna work with at all? Like, one outfit. Like, why wouldn't I get the black ones?
The sensible.
But that's not...
It's not who you are.
It's not who I am anyway. But then when you mix in, like, hypomanic, you're like you talked about, like, you wear so many extra accessories, which is maybe my favorite fun fact. What I need to know what the accessories are.
Bandana,
like
ring.
Michael Scott bandana, like, all the way back, or are we talking like, Rosie the Riveter tied up? Like, how is it?
Yeah, Rosie the Riveter right over my forehead.
Okay, that's not how she wears it, but I love that.
You know what I mean, like Rambo.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Rambo style bandana.
Bandana. What else we got? I'm surprised your ears are your ears pierced?
No, but that's a miracle they're not. And I have this one tattoo from when I was very manic, and that is also an absolute miracle.
Yeah, that was all it was. You mean?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Some guy just gave me this. This is not. I didn't go to a place. Like, I was like at
you
this.
You had it at home?
Yeah, in like a drug den.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you not? I mean, I know you're sober, but do you also not do any drugs at all as well?
Yeah, no drugs. No more drugs.
Oh man, I like to have fun every once in a while. That one I still do. And I really legitimize it while I'm like, well, I'm on a mood stabilizer and I don't drink, so. Yeah. And I know you don't like that for me.
I don't love that for you.
And neither does Lynn.
I don't love it for anyone. I mean, it's... not anyone. Like, if you can handle your drugs, it's just, I feel like it's a
slippery slope, and it can send you into a cycle. I
would have no fun on drugs anymore, because the whole time I would be panicking that it was going to send me into a manic episode.
Surprisingly, and I think it's also because I've never been hospitalized. I've only had probably a few manic episodes ever.
Yeah.
But I've always been able to I can go on a binge in a night with alcohol.
Yeah.
But hangovers are so terrible that I've never gone on like a real bender. You know what I mean? Maybe like a drink or two the next day to or in college you're bad at it. Exactly. Yeah. Hair of the dog. But I've never gone on a bender. I've always been able to be really moderate with doing drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
Probably because I didn't, need it. Because I was like, we're nailing it over here. We feel fucking good.
Yeah.
So, I can do coke 3 times a year, and I can also, strangely, I can do it and stop at a reasonable hour because I hate not getting sleep.
Uh-huh.
So I'll be like, it's 10, so I think I'm just gonna, no more lines for me.
Okay, well, you have a very special power.
It's a compelling and definitely, self-deflecting argument to be like, it's okay for me, because it can still fuck me up, but
yeah,
I've never seen it fuck, alcohol, absolutely, that one can fuck me up, but smoking a little weed or occasionally doing it's never.
The weed was real bad for me.
Yeah.
And the drugs were even worse.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I think that what you're saying is correct.
Yeah.
But for me, it's
I'm right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm right.
Well, what I would say is I think any clinician would agree with you. They wouldn't be like, yeah, it's okay for you, Maria. You know what I mean? But I think that's one of the few things that I do that I shouldn't.
Okay.
But it's just so fun. You miss the high of being manic, or more so hypomanic.
Have you ever danced sober?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm also very uninhibited.
Yeah.
So.
That's my new drug.
Is dancing?
Yeah.
Oh, I love dancing.
Yeah.
And that was really hard in the pandemic because it's like you can like dance at home with your girlfriend, but it's not.
No
like,
one's watching.
Exactly. There's no attention.
Yeah.
And I just feel like you can't really elevate yourself to your full dancing. We have to go dancing, like full dancing potential. You know,
my buddy
when it's not
DJ'd this rooftop in Brooklyn yesterday. It was so much fun. I was completely sober. I had a yerba mate, and
when I'm wild, I'll have a Red Bull.
And I just danced by myself for great. 2 hours.
That's awesome.
It was great.
It's so good. I've always been really into it. I think that's also because it's an adrenaline hit, you know? And it's exercise. It's all the shit you want. I really love dancing, and that's always been.
We'll go dance.
Yeah.
Do you want to plug anything?
Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, you can
follow me
on
Instagram.
You can follow my Instagram. I don't know if you guys have heard of that app.
How do you spell Heinegg?
Hein as in Nancy, EGG.
Okay.
Which, fun fact, my dad's side of the family, 10 kids. He's number 5 out of 10. So I have like 30 first cousins.
Holy hell.
Pretty much everybody, when they spell our last name, because we're the only ones in the world with that last name, not to brag, but we'll say Hein as in Nancy. Like, we literally all say this fucking corny ass name. There's no Nancy in our family, so I don't know where it. Anyway, that's probably the most boring fact I could have shared.
No, I grew up in Astoria, a lot of Greeks, and my buddy's last name didn't fit on the back of his jersey. They were like, you have to pay extra to get, and so it was just like half of his last name on the back of his shirt.
How many letters is his last name? Like 16?
I don't want to say his last name, but...
Yeah, I love how you never... Like, I'm dying to know who the famous actress your dad referenced. He was really having a good time just doing the one thing you asked him not to.
No names, dude. No names.
And he's like, that, and you're like, can you... This is all we talked about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing it.
Thanks for having me.
This was a blast. I think we came, we saw, and we I don't know.
We did?
I don't know. I was going to say conquered, but like, what are we talking about?
We did. We conquered mental illness.
We figured it out. There's no more mental illness in the world because of me and Maria Heinegg.
Finally,
Finally. Follow her at Maria Heinegg on Instagram.
It's on, it's also Twitter. Eventually I'll force myself to do TikTok. I mean, I have an account, but there's literally one video.
I've got 5 videos on there.
It's not great.
Not good. Thank you so much for doing it.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
And scene.
Man.